Hey everyone, this is Meyer, and if you're at all like me, you often struggle to write melodies, you get writer's block, you're just kind of sitting in front of your computer and there's no ideas. Often my best ideas for songs come when I'm not sitting in front of my computer. So what I'm going to do in this video is show you my 5 steps for writing great trance melodies. Easy, if you follow these 5 steps, you shouldn't struggle at all with writer's block, at least not as much. And what I'll be doing is following these 5 steps to create this melody here in this video. There you go, and notice how it just loops back, so you can just kind of keep this playing. So step number 1 is what you want to do is you need to choose a chord progression or a harmony. Now in the description I have a link to a MIDI pack that I've made that has over 160 different of these chord progressions. All of these were taken from actual trance tracks, and I've transposed them all to the key of A minor or C major, so we're only using the white keys. But I'd also encourage you, whether or not you're using this MIDI pack, to just build your own. Really, you can experiment around, see what works, or analyze the tracks that you like. This is just sort of gives you a head start. So maybe what I'll do is choose, it really doesn't matter too much, but let me just go ahead and grab one. So I'm going to grab one and I'm going to put it here on the sub pad channel. So all this is just basically bass notes. It's lower notes that are going to form the basis of our melody that we can use to build chords and so on. So this is what we have here. I'm going to turn this kick off because we don't need it right now. Okay, sounding pretty basic, so nothing all that complicated. The interesting part will come in the next couple steps. So step number 2, what you need to do is you need to find a rhythm pattern that you want your lead to follow. So for these sounds, I'm just using my Vital presets. You can download them for free. We'll provide a link in the description, and I have videos on how I made these as well floating around YouTube. So let's go under these rhythm patterns. Now in the MIDI pack, I have over 60 of these that I like. Some of these are more for plucks and some of these are more for leads. So there's all sorts of different ones that are here. So you can see. Okay, let's go ahead and choose this one. Now, that's step number 2, pretty easy. Find one that you like. Step number 3, what we need to do is transpose these chords, or the chords that the melody is following, to match the harmony. And the thing you're going to want to look at is the low notes in your lead. Those lower notes that are arpeggiated are usually the ones that you want to follow. So what I'm going to do is select both of these MIDIs, and by doing so I can focus by clicking the focus button on the lead. So I'm just looking at the lead. And what I'm also going to do is turn on the scale here in Ableton Live to C major or A minor, it doesn't matter, and quantize this to the scale just because it's going to be a little bit easier to see. You don't have to do that, but it just makes it a little bit easier. So what we're going to do is just pick all of these and transpose them so this lower note matches the bottom one. So this is what I'm going to do. Click and drag, and then we'll take these guys, bring them down, and these guys will come down too. Once you do this, you may decide that you want to bump this up another octave. That's probably what I'll do because it started up an octave, but let's go ahead and listen to it. Now, this is what we have from step number 3. Okay, so now you kind of hear where this wants to go. I think this is the step where you really start feeling that melody maybe start coming to life. So I'm going to take this and bring this up an octave by holding down Shift and pressing the up arrow key. And I'm going to now, what I'm going to do, well, let's just keep it like this. Sounding good. Now, step number 4, this is where you get to have fun with it. We're going to take these top notes, these upper notes, and basically move them around to match what sounds good, really. You kind of got to just practice and do this. So I'm going to fast forward this part because it's just a lot of trial and error. But what I will say is what tends to work really well is if you're here in the scale, taking your root note, which in here is F, the one that your sub pad is playing, jumping to that note works really well, and jumping to more, that also works really well. So this is what that first set of 2 sounds like, and then 2 more. So now what I'm going to do is just go ahead and move these around. All right, so this is what we have. What I'm really paying special attention to is that the ending part loops back naturally to the beginning. In Live, you can do this by selecting an area, and Command L on Mac, Control L on Windows will loop a certain section. So this is what we have. And at this point, what I would encourage you to do is take this, duplicate it using Command D, and you can make changes to the second half, especially towards the end, or maybe towards the beginning. You can decide just that way, rather than just having an 8-bar loop, you then have a 16-bar loop, but it's not strictly necessary. And lastly, step 5, what we're going to do is we're going to select these, and we're going to transpose them down to a key that works really well. What you want to pay attention to with this is basically what key your sub bass is going to be in. But in order to do this, you need to make sure you turn off the scale when you do this, and I'm going to turn off the focus. So I'm going to select all these notes using Command A on Mac, Control A on Windows, and just press the down arrow a few times, because to me this is sounding a little high. So we just need to find an area where this sounds good. Maybe down a little bit more. These upper notes are still sounding good, or are still sounding a bit high. So maybe I'll bring this down just a few more, maybe 2 more. And sometimes what you'll find is these sub bass notes can get a little too low. So just select it and you can bring it up an octave using Shift and the up arrow. Awesome. There you go. Those are the 5 steps for how you can create these melodies. And what I'm going to do, I'll go ahead and save this, and I'll provide a Dropbox link so you can access this and download it and play around with it and kind of see what I did. But hope you found this helpful, and don't be afraid to check out my MIDI pack where I have these sub pads and rhythm patterns, and go through building these and also building up, other sounds as well, like a pad and stuff. You're sort of a MIDI remix pack from this. So thanks for checking this out, and I will see you next time.